Who I help is someone who wants to lose weight without tracking anything. If we're able to listen to our bodies, then we don't need to track anything externally. When we're not listening to our bodies, we need to track externally. And food rules are a huge distraction from that. One of my clients even asked me when we were working through this, she was like, why do I need to get rid of food rules if they're helping me be healthy? Because she's quote unquote eating healthy all the time and she's not going down the freezer aisle and she's eating fresh foods and organic foods. But at the same time, the reason she came to me is because she's in a weight loss plateau. She's got chronic fatigue. She's having severe cravings. Like, she is not interpreting accurately what's going on in her body because she's like, oh, I'm following these rules, so I must be healthy, when her body is telling her a different thing. Food rules are those shoulds and shouldn'ts that run in the back of your brain.
How do you get more in tune with your body?
Oh my God. That is a practice.
Hey, it's Matt from Aware Fitness and Nutrition, and today I was lucky enough to sit down with Meagan Ryan, head of nutrition at Aware, and we were able to talk about food rules. And I got to tell you, at the beginning of the conversation, I didn't know what a food rule was, but by the end, I had a lot more clarity, and it helped me, and I hope it can help you too. So why don't you check this out?
Who I help is someone who wants to lose weight without tracking anything. We have to start understanding food rules and how those show up externally for us if we want to start practicing listening to ourselves, which is the key to unlocking not having to track anything. Because if we're able to listen to our bodies, then we don't need to track anything externally. When we're not listening to our bodies, we need to track externally. And food rules are a huge distraction from that a lot of people don't realize that they're living with. It contributes to food noise, inconsistencies, like all these things, because we all have these preconceived beliefs around food, even if we're not quote unquote dieting anymore.
I think I know what it is, but what is a food rule?
Food rules are those shoulds and shouldn'ts that run in the back of your brain. So a good example is, I shouldn't go down the freezer aisle because those have nothing but processed foods. I should only be eating whole, fresh foods all the time, nothing prepackaged, nothing processed. I should be cooking every single meal at home. Anytime I eat out, that's not going to help me lose weight. I should be, I don't know, list 10 things around the shoulds, right? So I always tell people, it's like, when you're shitting on yourself, you're probably in a food rule situation there. When you're shitting yourself around food, that's how you know maybe there's some food rules happening unconsciously in the back of our brain.
The question I have comes from growing up in a family where we're at the dinner table and it's like my dad telling me, like, you clear your plate, or if you took it, you should finish it. And those things kind of pop back up in my head. How do we address food rules?
Yeah, so I think the first part of understanding food rules is just understanding that every single human being on the face of this planet has a food rule because we have to eat. We have gone through life as these sponges and we've absorbed different beliefs around food along the way, some accurate, some inaccurate, right? And so addressing the food rules that are harmful is to understand, like, how are they showing up in our behaviors that are not helping us. That's how we know we're living in like a food rule that is not helpful.
If I'm saying those should haves to myself, like, I shouldn't have bread because bread's loaded with carbs and carbs are bad for me.
Right.
Like, I guess when you see those and you have your clients start to recognize them, because it's friction, right? It's like I have to eat. How do I pull out of that? Like, how do we work out of food rules?
Food rules are really tricky because they seem helpful. They seem like they're keeping us within the guardrails to keep us quote unquote healthy, right? So when we start to deconstruct like food rules as being harmful, we have to ask ourselves, what is the end result of me following through with this food rule? So if you tell me I don't eat bread because carbs are bad, that's resulting in you restricting an entire food group because of the food rule, bread is bad. So I think we can all agree that that is a harmful nutrition behavior because you can get nutrition deficiencies and all that kind of stuff. So we have to pull back the layers and understand, like, how is this affecting my behavior? And is this food rule beneficial towards my health or not?
So if I've identified it and I can take a look at it objectively, how do I go from there?
When we're working through food rules, the first step is to start noticing and start noticing how those food rules are helping or harming you. The second step is replacing those rules with guidelines. So, like with protein, for example, it's like I like to add lean protein to all of my meals because it helps satiate me instead of saying I have to have 30 grams of protein at every single meal. That's a food rule. The first one is a guideline that is more rooted in empowerment than it is a like pass fail if you don't do it.
So if I take that kind of, it's really about removing that judgment that the rule puts on you.
Mm-hmm.
If I treat it so black and white, when the reality of chaos gets introduced to my life and I fall out of sync with the black or white version, I'm going to be like, I failed at this. Here I go again. Why am I even doing this? This is ridiculous. I can't do this. I give up.
Yeah. Well, and two, it's like when you say like I have to hit 30 grams of protein at every single meal, it's like you're going into that interaction setting yourself up for failure in a way if you don't meet that expectation versus if you phrase it like I'm going to add lean protein to every single meal because it satiates me, that puts the focus back on what the food is doing for you rather than like you have to be doing this and this is a hard and fast rule and if you don't do it then you're failing. Food rules, they disconnect you from your body and they teach you to trust those external shoulds rather than your body, right? And instead of interpreting your own hunger, your fullness cues, any physical or internal cue that comes up that might be a result of what you're doing with your nutrition, that completely gets overlooked because you have to follow the rules. So an example, one of my clients even asked me when we were working through this, she was like why do I need to get rid of food rules if they're helping me be healthy, right? Because she's, quote unquote eating healthy all the time and she's not going down the freezer aisle and she's eating fresh foods and organic foods and whatever, right? But at the same time, the reason she came to me is because she's in a weight loss plateau, she's got chronic fatigue, she's having severe cravings, her food noise is through the roof. So to me, it's like, are you actually healthy or are you just believing in the food rules that like that narrative that the food rules are helping you believe that you are actually being healthy. That's why it's important to recognize like what's going on, but like what are these beliefs around food that we have? And that's such a perfect example of like she's disconnected from her body, right? Like she is not interpreting accurately what's going on in her body because she's like, oh, I'm following these rules, so I must be healthy. When that's her body is telling her a different thing. It's telling a different story.
So when you say food noise, what does that mean?
Food noise is whenever your brain is just thinking about food constantly, constantly. It could be something from food guilt. It could be even just like the logistics around food. What are we having for breakfast? What are we having for lunch? If I'm going somewhere, like, what's the food situation going to be? Like, just everything surrounding your day is about food. And that is a good litmus test to know if you need to work on your relationship with food. It's like how much time do you spend thinking about it? And if it's a significant portion of your day, it's like, okay, there's something else under the surface there that needs to be looked at.
I don't think I've thought about it in that way. Because when I'm hungry, either I'm angry or I'm tired or the brain fog, I can see how you couple those with the rules. And like if it's a rule of, well, you can have everything every 2 hours, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, yeah. So an example of that would be like, oh, okay. So I'm noticing that I get brain fog at a certain time of the day, but a food rule could be like, well, I already ate my breakfast, so I know I shouldn't be eating again, right? Like I already ate. I don't need to be eating again. When it's like, no, your body's telling you you need to eat. So that's a classic example of how we're not listening to our body, we're listening to the food rule.
yeah. And it's self-imposed and it's hurting us instead of helping us.
Mm-hmm.
Got me thinking about all these food rules that I have.
We all have them. We all have them. Like, I don't bring this up to shame anybody. Like, we all have them. Like, you cannot grow up in America that is so diet culture centric and not have food rules. And I mean, even if you didn't grow up in a home that, was around dieting or that was even a conversation, it's like, Well, your parents probably told you as a kid, you need to finish everything on your plate. That's a food rule. A lot of people have a hard time breaking that as adults because they feel guilty. They're like, well, I spent money on this, like I need to eat it. As same thing at restaurants, right? We're spending money on this. I need to eat the whole plate. That's a food rule. When it's like, it's not your fault that the restaurant overserves people. That's not your problem to deal with, right? You get to decide how you respond and react in those situations, and you absolutely do not have to eat the whole thing if you are not hungry enough to eat the whole thing.
Right. We can always take some home, or we can
Yeah,
just leave
there's
it
options.
here.
There's options. You can get a to-go container, have it for lunch the next day, come back to it later when you're hungry again, right? Like you don't have to like eat it all in one sitting if you don't want to.
Right. Yeah, because the food rule definitely was like, oh no, you ordered it, you got to finish it, or
Yeah.
don't. We spent money on this for sure. That's a huge one.
The root of those food rules is guilt, fear, shame. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be feeling like that all the time. Especially
No,
if food noise is like a big thing for you. It's like that is a lot to be carrying all the time.
every time you eat, it's
Every
like,
time or just all day, right? It's like if your mind is constantly thinking about food all day and it's circling all these food rules that are rooted in fear, guilt, and shame, it's like that's heavy. That's heavy. And it makes it even harder to be consistent with anything because you just constantly feel like you're messing it up.
so to help somebody who has those food rules, what would their next step be?
Hey, I hope you're enjoying today's conversation. And just in case you're interested, I have a little freebie for you. This is one of my favorite free guides. It is 10 basic bitch meals. I know it sounds silly, it sounds goofy, but I promise it's helpful. These are all recipes that are 3 to 5 ingredients, 15-minute prep and cook time, and use ingredients that you probably already have in your home. So if you were interested in snagging that, go ahead and grab the link below. Yeah, I would say if you're confused on if food rules are ruling you, I would just ask you to ask the question to yourself of like, okay, if you believe that you're eating healthy or you're trying to make changes or and you're not like consciously dieting, then I would then just ask yourself like, what am I feeling right now? Like, am I chronically fatigued? Do I have energy all day? Am I crashing at 3 p.m. or do I have consistent energy all day? Am I having cravings all day or do I feel pretty satiated all day? Right? Like trying to understand what your experience is right now and what your symptoms are will tell you like how well you're doing with food. Because a lot of times people will be so convinced that they're doing well with their food, but again, it's like you're not able to actually tune into what your body's trying to tell you.
How do you get more in tune with your body?
Oh my god. That is a practice. Getting more in tune with your body is a skill, and you have to be okay with being shit at it for a while. To be so honest with you, because we're not taught. We are brought up to not be internally reflective by nature. Everything around us is moving at such a rapid pace. And we're in school when we're young and like we're just busy all the time and we're not actually most people aren't taught to sit down and like listen to our hunger and fullness cues and pay attention to how we're coming to that meal. Are we stressed? Are we eating quickly? Or are we overeating? Like, what does overeating even feel like? Right? Like, all of these questions, like, we never really get a chance to explore when we're young, and that's okay. Doesn't mean we can't learn them now as adults. We absolutely can. But just knowing, like, you're going to be shit at it for a while. like, like you are, and you have to have patience with yourself and then also knowing that like your environment's likely going to have to change. So like if you're eating quickly and you're always eating on the go, you're probably going to have to add in time during your day to be able to sit down and eat and learn to give yourself space enough to feel and analyze just like what is going on in your body.